Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative Podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions, the worlds of pop culture, social media, sports, everything really. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. And on Twitter, I go as PD Beats. And my guest is an actor. You might have seen him in one of the most popular sitcoms of all time, How I Met Your Mother. He was Carl the bartender, and he's also in ABC. He's also in Stuck in the Middle, which is on the Disney Channel. We're with Joe Nieves. Joe, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
No problem. First question: do you know if the zoo is open by any chance?
The zoo?
Yeah.
If it's open, I'm sure it is.
Someone asked me to ask you that.
I know that's a Call the bartender. That's absolutely.
So I wasn't sure, but I didn't get. I don't think you see. I don't know if you were playing it coy, but it just seemed like maybe you didn't know what I was referring to, but you did.
Quicker off that. No, now I got it. I got it.
Oh my god!
It's actually my favorite episode that I did on How I Met Your Mother.
And you didn't get the reference.
You know what? I have two little kids, and I'm at the zoo constantly now. So
well, man, thank you so much for joining me on the show. First off, I just want to know, I refer to, actors, musicians, writers. I refer to you as storytellers. So my first question is, when did you decide you wanted to be a storyteller, Joe?
I like that. You know what? It's a big part. It's something I didn't figure it out till well into my 30s that was actually why I wanted to be an actor. I didn't know that. It just felt good to communicate. It felt good to express myself. Yep. But I teach acting now as well, and that's a big part of what I teach young actors is we got to tell the story. That's our big focus is telling the story. So my brother's a writer. I was always a good storyteller, always a good joke teller. So I know I had a knack for it, but I didn't realize it was storytelling until pretty recently, probably 10, 15 years ago. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I get that a lot. People are like, wow, I like that you call us storytellers.
Yeah.
So, no, it's for sure. We mentioned, Carl the bartender, How I Met Your Mother, but what I really wanted to talk about, and you told me before we started that the series finale was a month ago, I believe.
Yeah, give or take. Yeah,
a month ago of Disney Channel Stuck in the Middle, which was a very successful show. How did that opportunity arise for you?
So, my entire career for 20 plus years has been playing a lot of cops, playing a lot of bad guys, playing a lot of bartenders, a lot of blue collar stuff, and that's kind of where I fit in. I think in this industry. Once in a while I'll play a doctor, once in a while I'll play a lawyer. But for the most part, what I do is blue collar stuff, and I think I just come off that way. I'm just a big, natural, just a guy, just a guy.
Oh, for sure.
So I got a lot of that kind of stuff. A lot of cop shows. Any cop show you can mention, I've probably been on. It's so then I get married, and I get my wife gets pregnant, and we're having a kid. And all of a sudden, I get this opportunity on the Disney Channel to play a Disney dad, which I never saw myself as. And I was like, wow, this would be perfect. So I got super excited, went in for the auditions, got a call back, went in to read with three dudes and three ladies. We just read back and forth. They paired us up, see who was who. They liked me and Serena Vincent together, and we wound up getting the gig, and it turned out at a perfect time as a new dad to play a dad on a Disney show. I got to take advantage of when you're on a Disney show, you get 8 free passes to Disney World or Disneyland, each park every year. So it was a perfect time to get this gig.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Now I'm screwed though. Now my daughter thinks when you go to Disneyland, you don't have to wait on lines. Now the show's over. Now I gotta break it to her that we gotta wait on lines.
Or you could just use the card like, hey, I played the dad on Stuck in the Middle. Like, do you recognize me?
They're pretty straight laced over there too. Yeah, they don't let too much get by.
They don't take care of their alumni. No. Well, it's funny, too, because, they have, the Disney Channel, the Disney stores, in malls. And, I have some friends that work there, too. And they get, once in a while, trips to Disneyland as well. It's good. It's people that work at those stores are very passionate.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be.
For
Yeah.
sure. But I remember, man, like I'm like I'm a 90s kid, but when I was, like 2000s, when I was about 13 to 16, around that, I mean, the Disney Channel movies, that was the prime, man, for that stuff. There were some good Disney Channel movies out there. Were you aware of Disney Channel?
A little after my time, because I'm a little older than you, so that really didn't kick in till after I was already an adult. And then when I was in the show, I get those questions sometimes, like, what was your favorite DCOM, Disney Channel original movie? And I'd have to come up with one at some point.
There were some good ones, and I remember at one point there were a lot of like sports themed ones. Like there was Brink, which was about skating. There was Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off, which was a really good one. There was so many really good ones, and yeah, man, that was amazing. But yeah, no, Stuck in the Middle is one of those shows too where it has that family dynamic. It's a family sitcom. It's an ensemble cast. There's a lot of characters, whether it's the kids, whether it's the the characters that are involved with the lives of the kids or the family. And I love those shows. I love those shows with a lot of characters. That's why I like shows like Orange Is the New Black. I love the ensemble cast. What do you kind of think about ensemble casts, and what do you kind of think about the state of ensemble casts like in this present time?
I think we're in a golden age right now, right? Look at shows the shows I'm watching right now. Better Call Saul. Look at that cast. That's amazing. Between I can't think Odenkirk to Giancarlo Esposito to Jonathan Banks, Michael Mando. Those guys are unbelievable, and nobody. Odenkirk is the lead, and he's wonderful. But I could watch anybody on that show for an hour. You got Game of Thrones. You got Handmaid's Tale. Everybody is so important on these shows. They're all such great actors. There's such great opportunities on TV right now, especially with ensemble. There's so many ensemble casts. I think that's what people are into right now.
I think so too.
And as far as Stuck in the Middle, just being a family show, it came up, and I grew up in the 80s was my time, and there was so many great family shows. There was Family Ties and Growing Pains and Cosby Show, and it was just that was like the heyday for family shows. And I feel like that went away a little bit. Like if you even look at the family shows that are like Modern Family is wonderful and it's amazing and it's such an iconic show and it's huge, but I don't know if I feel comfortable with a little kid watching that show. You know what I mean? That they deal with some subjects, and it's a great family show. But the shows back then would deal with serious subjects, but they weren't as edgy as Modern Family is. You know what I mean?
Well, for sure, I agree.
Stuck in the Middle was harken back to that kind of stuff.
Well, what I really like is it doesn't like remind me a lot of it, but Stuck in the Middle reminds me a little bit of the premise of a show that was on Disney Channel in the 2000s, Life with Derek. Do you recall that show? So what's interesting about that show is that is a Canadian show that was picked up by Disney Channel. So basically, I remember like watching it on Disney Channel, not knowing it was a Canadian show. So basically it was about Casey and her mom remarries George, and George has 3 kids, so it's like a brand new family, like they move in with
kind of Brady Bunchy.
Yeah, like that, exactly. And Derek is the brother, and he is just he just bothers her all the time and gets all these antics. But it was the reason maybe I liked it is because it related. Like I feel like people like shows that they can relate to, and they're like, hey, that's my family. And I think Stuck in the Middle did that because people will look at that. How many people are probably like, man, that reminded me of my family? Yeah,
absolutely. It was a lovely show, and I'm really proud to have been a part of it. Yeah, it was a lovely family show.
You mentioned like the blue collar, the cop stuff, but what has been your favorite? Maybe it was Carl the bartender, I don't know, but what has been your favorite role so far that you've had the chance to do? Maybe not a role that not as many people know about, but was there a role that was pretty special to you, Joe?
There's, obviously so Stuck in the Middle is going to come on top just because I got to do, 70 episodes of Tom Diaz, and it came at a really special time in my life where I was having kids and I got to play a dad, and I got to have a regular gig for 4 years, where in my career, I've been that guy who's just in stuff. You know what I mean? Like I work
for sure.
but I haven't been a part of a long running series yet. Besides How I Met Your Mother, but that was again freelancing stuff coming in here and there. So I love Tom Diaz. He's number one. Besides that, I got to do a movie a friend of mine wrote and directed, Joe Basile. It was an independent film, low budget, and it was called The West End. And it was a mob movie. It was a Jersey mob movie, and I got to play a bad guy. I got to play it was kind of like my Sonny Corleone. So that was a lot of fun for me to do. Was to get to do that. You really get to sink my teeth into a bad guy. But yeah, those two probably.
So the one thing that I ask sometimes, like popular question I ask in the storyteller question, is I'm always about, Popternative was made kind of for the behind the scenes. I want to hear stories. I want to hear things. I want my viewers and listeners to hear things that they might not listen anywhere else. All access, behind the scenes type thing. So one of the questions I always ask, Joe, is about misconceptions, right? Everyone's going to look and be like, oh, an actor, right? They assume and they know everything about being an actor. You know what I mean? Are there any misconceptions that come to mind in terms of, people think something about being an actor, or man, it's completely opposite to that. You know what I mean? Like, has anything come to mind about misconceptions about the industry?
There's quite a few. What I could get into is first, a realization I had recently, more to do with as an observation as opposed to something that happened to me. But being on a kids show for the first time and having to work with 7 wonderful, amazing, talented kids, kids want to be on the Disney Channel, right? That's their dreams, to be on Disney Channel. They get this gig now, and their parents are supportive, right? Their parents are supporting them. Like, you have this dream, let's do it. So now they get this job, and it's so exciting. It's their dream come true. But now their parents have a new full-time job. Now somebody has to be on the set with these kids every day.
Wow. And
what are you doing there? Nothing. You're sitting there in the green room with other parents, just figuring out how to make your day go by because somebody's got to be there with the kid. So you sit there, and I'm sure it's gotta be incredibly taxing. It's gotta be kind of boring. Just as, it's exciting for the first couple of episodes, maybe first half season. You're watching the kid on the screen, But after a while, you just got to show up every day, and you have to maintain a positive attitude, and you have to be there for your kid every day. And I think a lot of parents, we want to support our kids, and it's wonderful to do that. But you have to realize that what you're doing is a full-time job for them, and it's a full-time job for you. And I got an enormous amount of respect to those parents that were sitting there every day supporting their kids. It was really, really, really important, and they did it. Other misconceptions. There's something that a lot of people say. This is just my grandstanding. A lot of people have misconception about actors that we live in this. We're Hollywood elite. We live in we only know actors, and we only hang out with actors, and we have these. We have our noses up in the air, but. People in Los Angeles, people who work in our business, we work with people. I'm there with camera guys, with crew guys, with union guys. That's who I talk to every day. That's who I'm with every day. I'm with 5 or 6 other actors. 100 people on the set are regular guys, like I am, like I hope I am, and I from everywhere. People in this industry from everywhere. They're from all over the country. They're from different countries. People come here from everywhere to work in this business. So I think we're not in a fishbowl. We have a great opportunity to talk to different cultures, different ideas. So I don't know. That's a misconception, I think.
Wow, that's awesome. Because I always get the ones I always get are people think they see someone on a show for the first time and they're like brand new to the scene. They've never been doing it before. Right. That's a big one. Yeah. And then people seem frustrated when they talk to me about that. Like when they're telling that, you can tell they're like, oh, that's the worst. You know what I mean? But another one too is I had Matt Doherty on the show. He played Averman in the Mighty Ducks, and he was telling me you mentioned about being like a child actor. He says one of the hardest things was he says if we didn't have all these services available to us, like unions and people helping us and everything, he says it would have been a lot harder because it's like you're kind of just thrown in a call time and then you have your life on the other side of things, and it's just like having all these services that are available to help out was huge because he's like, I don't know how I would be able to survive without it.
Yeah. And these kids, I don't know how they did it. Yeah, they have to, and when they're not shooting, they don't have any downtime on the set. When they're not shooting, they're in the classroom. Mm-hmm. They have a classroom on set, and when you're not literally rehearsing or shooting on set, you're in the classroom. So you're in school, you don't get a lot of time to unwind and be a kid,
Have you ever heard of a show on Netflix called Love? It was Judd Apatow's.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
I have, and there's a particular scene, where the teacher comes in. Is that what you're talking?
Yeah, so Gus is like a teacher for Aria, who's on this big show. Yeah,
great. No, it's a great scene. It's a great, it's a great episode. And then the teacher talks to the producer. Yeah.
And
pretty realistic.
No, it is very realistic, and it just reminded me of that. Yeah. We're all content consumers. We're all nerds. We're all geeks. We love certain things. You know what I mean? Whether we're a sports fan, whether you're a comic book fan. I just find that, not saying that like conventions and geek culture and sports culture hasn't been big all the time, but is it just me, Joe, or has there been like a boom in the last 3-4 years with like conventions and fandom? Like, it's been insane.
More so than ever. Absolutely. And I don't know. I mean, I think all of it, everything just has been amplified exponentially just with the internet. Just you have more accessibility to people, like-minded people who are into the same kind of stuff as you, and the natural response is, let's get together. Let's.
Yeah. Are there any Disney Channel? Were there any opportunities to do any fan expos or conventions?
There's a big Disney convention, but you know what? It's understandable. They don't care about the parents. Everybody wants kids. So not much opportunity for me in the Disney stuff, but the kids, yes, absolutely.
I'm wondering if there's like a sitcom convention, if Eddie Carl the bartender fans. It's important, man. I told two of my friends that I work with, they love the show, and they freaked out. They're like, Carl the bartender, I love Carl.
Yeah. Here's a good Carl story. So I was originally hired in the pilot episode to play a police officer.
Okay.
The scene was cut out. No one told me that. Nobody contacted me. I showed up on set, ready to play the police officer. It was a one-off. Come guest star, be a police officer, go home. The director, Pam Fryman, comes in. She says, "Oh, Joe, what are you doing here?" And I was like, "What do you mean? I'm here to work." And she goes, "Oh, no one told you?" I'm like, "Told me what?" And they're like, "Oh." And so her and the creators came out, and they're was so embarrassed. Nobody contacted you out of the show. Oh, no. But they said, "But listen, we have this bartender, and it's a small part in the first episode, but it's gonna be recurring, I'm sure, because they're always gonna be hanging out in McLaren's. So you'd be perfect for that. Do you want to do that?" And I said, "Yeah, I would love to." And it wound up, if it was the police officer, it would have been one episode. But because they forgot to tell me my part got written out, I got to do 20 plus episodes.
That is a story.
Yeah.
If that's not a story, I don't know what is.
I guilted them into giving me 20 something episodes.
It's a lot of episodes, and it's an important.
And they're wonderful, and everybody on that show is wonderful.
Absolutely. What do you think? So you mentioned it. Like shows like Modern Family. What do you think makes a sitcom stand out? Because that is, in my opinion, the hardest type of show to make, because you see every year new pilots get released and everything, and a lot of the shows get canceled, and only a few here and there end up getting renewed. What do you think, from your past experience, or you're working on How I Met Your Mother, what do shows like How I Met Your Mother have that are important for a show to kind of survive?
There's no secret potion that if you do ABC, it's going to be successful. I think what it is. So here's an example. This is a silly thing to say, but it's true. If Ted Danson's on your show, it's going to be a success. Ted Danson is just, if you have somebody like Ted Danson will come on a set, all of a sudden everything feels great. He's a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful guy to work with. He's so sweet and caring and giving to every actor, to everybody on the set. And he's such a funny guy and such a great actor. So that's one way to go. You get somebody like that, which is very, very, very rare. Other way, How I Met Your Mother. The creators, just the chemistry, just the serendipity of those actors, those writers, that director, just that group of people together was magic. It was lightning in a bottle. And I think that's probably the case for most of it. Another way is just to be incredibly innovative, like Seinfeld, I
was just thinking that.
Yeah, just to do something that hasn't been done before. Which How I Met Your Mother, chemistry aside, also, I mean, people joke and say it was like Friends, but not really. I mean, there was this different idea of this guy was telling a story about how he met the mother, and that no matter what stray too far from that in all the episodes. You know what I mean? So it's just a new idea.
Absolutely.
Innovation, yeah.
Disney Channel had a show a couple years ago. I had a few seasons called "I Didn't Do It," and that was kind of like Friends almost. It was like, you know, brother and sister and their friend and their like group of friends. So
young friends.
Yeah, I found that because it was on once a long time ago, and I was like, this reminds me a little bit of Friends, and then I realized that the two main characters were brother and sister. I'm like, okay, that's why it reminds me of it. Seinfeld, there's like, anytime I watch an episode, there's like 6 laughs tops. You know what I mean?
All in the Family, Seinfeld, even, you know, you can't this Cosby Show, even if you watch that back at the runs, it's you can't not laugh at one of those shows when they're on.
Oh, absolutely, they're important. Well, Joe, I think we'll wrap up. Thank you so much for coming on the show to talk, man.
My pleasure. Could I just say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Put one thing out there. My wife is an actress as well. She just started this web series. It's Emily Swenson, positive parenting coach. She's at Emily Swenson 17 on Twitter, and it's just super, super, super funny. We're just trying to get as many viewers as possible.
Yeah, I'll put all the links. I was literally going to ask you, the how I end my episodes is the stage is yours to plug away. Where can people follow you on social media, by the way?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Joe P. Nieves, JoePNieves.
So it is Nieves. You know what? I saw a lot of people said Joe Nieves, and you know what? The proper pronunciation is Nieves. I apologize.
No worries.
But that is the proper pronunciation. And there's so many interviews you've done where people say Joe Nieves. And that's not it.
It's right. That's the anglicized version of it, yeah.
I had an actor from Lost in Space on the show, Ignacio Cerricchio, and I said, and he was like perfect pronunciation, and we had him on like a week before the show was dropping on Netflix, so he was busy. He went to WonderCon and everything, and he was like, "Man, you said it perfectly." Excellent. Awesome. Well, seriously, man, thank you so much. And anything specific on your end we should be looking out? Anything coming up? Anything you're allowed to talk about?
Nothing right now. Yeah, nothing right now, but soon. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much, man. All the best.
All right, Pete.
No problem. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for all the video episodes, Spotify, iTunes for the audio-only episodes. Until next time, this is Joe Nieves and Nieves signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.